theorem for rectangular neighborhoods of compact rectangles. It states that let A and B be compact subsets of topological spaces X and Y respectively, and W be an open subset of X cross Y containing A cross B. Then there will exist open sets U and V in X and Y respectively such that A subset of U, B subset of V and U cross V contained in W. If either A or B is empty, then A cross B will be empty. Suppose that A is empty, then if W is an open set of X cross Y containing A cross B, that is empty set, then we can let U to be empty set itself and V to be any open set of Y containing the set B. Then definitely A will be a subset of U as both A and U are empty. B will be contained in V and U cross V, which is equal to phi, will be a subset of W also. Similarly, we can prove that when B is empty, this result holds. Now let us assume that both A and B are non-empty. First, we fix a point, say small b of capital B. Now, for each small a element of capital A, point AB will be a member of A cross B, and we know that W is an open set containing the rectangle A cross B. So, AB is a point of the open set W. Hence, W can be regarded as an open neighborhood of this point AB, since every open set is a neighborhood of each of its points. So, W is a neighborhood of AB. Now, by the definition of product topology, we will be able to find open box, say GA cross HA, contained in W such that the point AB belongs to the open box. Then A will be a member of GA, the point B will be a member of HA, and since this is an open box, GA and HA will be open subsets of X and Y respectively. This existence is obtained from the definition of product topology. Now we can see that since A belongs to GA for every A element of capital A, and hence the collection of all such GAs will be an open cover of the set capital A. We know that capital A is a compact set, hence this cover will have a finite subcover. Let that finite subcover be the collection GA1 etc. GAN. Remember that corresponding to this GA1 there will be a set HA1. Similarly, corresponding to GAN there will be HAN. And families of subsets, we have observed that B element of HA1, B element of HA2 and so on, B will be a member of HAN. If we define HB to be the intersection of HAIs, then this intersection will also contain the point B. And if we let GB to be the union of GAIs, then GB will contain A, since this collection is a cover of A. Then GB and HB will be open subsets of x and y respectively. Since HB is the finite intersection of open sets, GB is a union of open sets. So both will be open subsets. And we can see that A is contained in GB, B is a point of HB, and since GA cross HA is contained in W, we can see that GA1 cross HA1 will be contained in W, and so on. GAN cross HAN will be contained in W. Combining all these, we will get the relation GB cross HB will be contained in W as well. So far we have used the compactness of capital A. As of now, we have treated this small b as a fixed point of the set capital B. We now let small b vary over capital B. Then for each small b element of capital B, we can find open sets GB and HB using the above process. Then the family HB for every B element of capital B will be an open cover of compact set B, since small b belongs to HB for every small b. Now, since capital B is compact, this family will have a finite subcover, say HB1, HB2, etc., HBM. And if we let V to be the union of these HBIs, then V will contain B, since this family is a finite subcover of B. And remember that A is a subset of GB for each B. So, if we consider GBIs, then each of these sets will contain A, and hence their intersection, namely U, also contain A. Since GB cross HB is a subset of W for every B, we can conclude that U cross V will be contained in W. Thus, U and V have all the desired properties. This completes our proof. Now let us consider another proposition which states that if capital X is a completely regular space and F is a compact subset of X, and if C is a closed subset of X which is disjoint from F, then there will exist a continuous function from X into the unit interval such that capital F is mapped to 0 and capital C, the closed set, is mapped to 1. If the compact set F is empty, then we can consider the constant function which maps every point of the space X to 1 as the required function. This constant function will be definitely continuous and it will map all points of C to 1. Since F is empty, we can see that this constant function satisfies all the requirements of continuous function in the statement of this proposition. Hence, the function which is identically 1 will work if F is the empty set. Similarly, if C is empty, then we can consider the function which maps every point of the space X to 0. Since this function, this constant function will be continuous and it maps every point of F to 0. So, identically 0 function will work in this case. Now, let us assume that both C and F are non-empty. Then, since the space is completely regular, for each X element of F, X will not be a member of the closed set C, and hence there will exist a continuous function, a map Fx defined from X to unit interval such that Fx of X equal to 0 and fx of y equal to 1 for all y element of C. That is, there will exist a continuous function which maps the point small x to 0 and every point of the closed set C to 1. Now, for each small x element of the compact set F, let ux to be the set fx inverse of closed open 0, 1 by 2. Then, since 0 is a member of the closed open interval, fx inverse of 0 will be a member of ux. That is, x will be a member of ux for every x element of f. So, ux will be a set containing the point small x, and since fx is continuous and closed open interval 0, 1 by 2 is an open set with respect to the subspace topology on unit interval, this inverse image will be open. So, we can say that ux is an open set containing the point small x. Hence, this family of all sets of the form ux where x element of f will form an open cover of the set capital F. By the compactness of capital F, this open cover will have a finite subcover, say ux1 etc. uxn. Now, let us define a function f from x to unit interval by f of x equal to minimum of fx1 of x, fx2 of x etc. fxn of x for each x element of capital X. Then this function will be continuous, being the minimum of n continuous functions. Also, for every x element of C, f of x, which is defined as the minimum of fx1 of x etc. fxn of x, will be equal to minimum of 1 etc. 1, and that will be equal to 1. Hence, we can say that f assumes the value 1 at all points of C. However, f may not vanish identically on the set capital F, since we know that fx1 has the property fx1 of small x1 will be equal to 0, and so on fxn of xn is equal to 0. And in general, f of x, which is defined as the minimum of fx1 of x etc. fxn of x, may not be equal to 0 for all x element of f. But we know that the collection ux1 etc. uxn is a cover of capital F, where uxi is in fact fxi inverse of closed open interval 0, 1 by 2. Therefore, for each x element of f, there will exist I such that 1 less than or equal to I less than or equal to n and x element of uxi, which implies that fxi of x belongs to closed open interval 0, 1 by 2. That is 0 less than or equal to fxi of x less than 1 by 2. And then, since f of x is defined as the minimum of fx1 of x etc. fxn of x, f of x will be less than or equal to fxi of x, and that will be less than 1 by 2. And we can also observe that f of x will be greater than or equal to 0. Therefore, we can say that f of x, the image of x, will be a member of 0, 1 by 2. So, even though we cannot conclude that f vanish identically on the set capital F, we can say that on capital F, the image of f will lie in the interval closed open 0, 1 by 2. But we need a continuous function which maps every point of capital F to 0. But small f is a continuous function which maps capital F to closed open interval 0, 1 by 2. Now we need a continuous function which maps this closed open interval 0, 1 by 2 to the point 0. If we are able to define such a continuous function, say g, then the composition of these two functions will give us a continuous function which maps every point of capital F to 0. So we can assume that g is any continuous function which maps closed open interval 0, 1 by 2 to 0. And we also need this property g of 1 equal to 1, since we need to map every point of C to 1. F already does that. F maps every point of C to 1. Now we will be considering the composition of these two functions f and g. So we will need the composition to do the same. That is, the composition should also map every point of C to 1. Hence, our continuous function, our new continuous function g should also satisfy the property g of 1 equal to 1. Then the composition will map every point of C to 1. Such a continuous function does exist. That is, a continuous function which satisfies these two properties will definitely exist. For example, we can take the function g as the function g of t equal to 0 for 0 less than or equal to t less than or equal to 1 by 2, and g of t equal to 2t minus 1 for 1 by 2 less than or equal to t less than or equal to 1. We know that the function 2t minus 1 is definitely continuous, and at t equals 1 by 2 we can see that this will be continuous. Hence g will be a continuous function and g satisfies these two properties in this case. Then the composite g composition f will vanish identically on capital F. That is, g composition f will map every point of capital F to 0, and g composition f will map every point of C to 1 also. So g composition f is the required function. This completes our proof. Give an example to show that the compactness of A and B in the Wallace theorem is essential. This is a homework for you.